Sponsored by Squarespace. High above the sleepy city of Phoenix creeps an aircraft of unimaginable proportions. Bigger than a skyscraper, wider than anything ever built by man, this airship defies the laws of physics and is one of the strongest pieces of evidence that we are not alone. Or maybe, just maybe, an entire city was confused, deluded, and this event never happened. Today on Found and Explained, we'll divulge the top secret information of this incident, and you can decide for yourself what really happened on that cold spring evening in 1997. Open your mind to the lights over Phoenix. Our story begins at exactly 7:55 p.m. of March 13th, 1997 in Henderson, Nevada. Driving along the highway, a man only known as JR sees an unusual shape of lights in his car mirror, confusing them at first as headlights on a distant mountain on the horizon. A mountain that didn't exist. Minutes later at 8:15 in Paulden, Nevada, a highway patrol officer sees the same lights. He calls his headquarters over the radio and describes them as a tight cluster of orange, reddish lights, only to see them vanish over the dusty horizon. Right over Prescott Valley, where we get one of the best descriptions of what happened next. At 8:30, Tim Lay and his family saw the lights start to approach them from Paulden, approximately 65 miles away. At first, they thought that the twinkling, enlarging lights were simply stars, reflections off clouds, or perhaps distant satellites that could be seen in the clear sky. But all of that changed as it approached. They formed an arch shape that looked like the red blinking lights on top of a balloon or an impossibly tall bridge. But that soon became apparent that it was a giant upside down V shape, with each light getting further apart as the true scale of this giant monster was revealed. Other witnesses would describe it as having an upside down V shape with 5 major lights set into it, hovering slowly about 30 to 45 meters above them, but with the scale of 10 Boeing 747s wing to wing or a mile wide.
People were seeing these lights that either seemed to be attached to something or had a force field in between, because when they looked up, they blocked out the stars in between the lights.
"We don't have anything that big," said a witness to the media. "It was totally silent. I've never seen anything even close to the colors from the exhaust that propelled that thing. It was as big as downtown Prescott and completely blocked out all of the stars. But there was no sound apart from the rustling of the wind." The lights and the black shape that was blocking out the stars slowly rose into the clouds and vanished. By 10 p.m, hundreds of calls had been made, with many people saying they saw a row of brilliant lights hovering and dancing in the sky, perhaps confirming one of the largest UFO sightings in history. Or perhaps it wasn't a UFO at all. What really happened over Phoenix? Now, a lot of people always ask me, "Nick, why on earth would aliens fly all the way across the universe to visit Phoenix, particularly downtown Prescott?" Well, it's because downtown Prescott doesn't have a Squarespace website. That's right, instead of powering up your quantum drive to schluck it across the universe, consider using today's video sponsor for your next Earthling internet adventure. Squarespace has plenty of great templates, or you can have a go building your own design with their powerful code-free builder. They have built-in e-commerce tech to add products and start selling, inbuilt email campaign marketing that is easy to use, and their sites are already optimized for mobile phones. Plus, when you click that link, you're actually supporting the channel by helping me keep making all of these animations that you love to watch and see. So this is actually quite a win-win. By going to www.squarespace.com/found, you get 10% off your first site and domain, and you become a supporter of the channel. Back to the show. Now it's time to swap out the storyteller hat with the skeptic hat and look at the very credible evidence that this wasn't UFOs at all. That the Flying V wasn't some hugely impossible slow-moving aircraft, but rather 5 A-10s simply flying in formation. Let me explain. According to the military, there was a planned military activity that night called Operation Snowbird, using the Air National Guard out of Davis-Monthan Air Base in Tucson. 5 A-10 aircraft took off into the evening, flying at a higher altitude than normal with their identifier lights on, just to help those on the ground and other aircraft see them. These lights are different from civil aircraft collision lights, that they're just a single steady red light, as opposed to those flashing strobes. They flew over the sky towards Phoenix before coming to rest at another airbase. Then a second group of A-10s, as part of the same operation, took off into the sky and deployed some slow falling flares at around 10 p.m. Deployed in such a way, these flares would have looked like a large ship slowly falling over the horizon, and as they fell over the nearby mountain range, it would have looked like the flares were in fact moving upwards into the atmosphere. As for the stars being blocked out by a black shape, many people may have simply just connected the dots between the lights to make it a bigger object. Even some of the pilots came out after the media frenzy about these alien lights, confirming that they flew in the formation and deployed the flares, namely that of the 104th Fighter Squadron. Even a local witness testified that he looked at the lights through a telescope and saw individual fighter planes, not thinking much of it and going to bed early. So the military has a very easy explanation for why this event took place, and it seems so neat and all wrapped up. But surely so many people couldn't mistake the lights in the sky for just some simple fighter jets flying in formation. One person certainly didn't, the then governor of Arizona. Governor Fife Symington III held a press conference in 1997 about the lights, saying that they had found the person that was responsible, only to have a man dressed as an alien appear on stage. A comic event, but it was only later that he remarked,
I'm serious now. That unquestionably it was a UFO, which means unidentified flying object.
Right, doesn't mean we're being visited.
Well, it's nothing like anything I've ever seen.
And you're an Air Force guy.
Yeah, and a pilot. Got a lot of hours flying. So it was pretty breathtaking.
How big?
Bigger than anything I've ever seen in the sky.
Like an aircraft carrier in the sky?
Yeah. Something like that, yeah. And it was hard to define because of the light in terms of the size, but it was absolutely silent and had sort of eerie embedded lights, and so that's what I saw. And I wasn't expecting to see anything because I was looking out over at Luke. To the west, and then all of a sudden these people in the park area just on the west side of 51, there were a bunch of people there. Everybody said, "Oh, look at that!" And we turned around, and this thing was coming from the northwest, traveling to the southeast.
He also explained that his 180 of his opinion of the event was that he didn't want to say anything at the time because it might have alarmed people in 1997, which does actually make a lot of sense. And it's this fact that still raises questions. If someone so high-ranking in the government insists that it wasn't the military, and countless others insist that they saw an impossibly huge object in the sky that couldn't be explained by individual aircraft, then what is the answer? Well, the military certainly doesn't want to find out, because after all these events, they didn't interview a single person. The exact nature of the Phoenix Lights, it seems, even today, remains unknown. I'll let you decide in the comments.